Hi everyone, and welcome back to Dimensional Wellness channel. This is DeeDee, and I'm so glad to be here with you, exchanging some energy today. Today, we're going to be doing a dream tidbit on the time that I saw Apophis. Also called a pep, the snake, also called a peppy. And there's some other names too that I can't quite remember. But anyways, we're going to get into the dream time. And it was a really short dream time, but I want to segue that into some things that I have learned about energies and especially quote unquote demons. Okay. So we're going to get into the dream time and then I'll get into talking about it, okay? So this dream I definitely had sometime in 2019. I feel like it's the end of 2019 because I hadn't had the dream about Sedona yet. Wait, did I say 2019 or 2020? No, I meant to say 2020. So I hadn't had the dream about Sedona yet, but this was one of the multi-layer events that happened where I was like, oh, okay, I need to really get out of here. Though I have no money right now, I don't know how we're going to do it. Ray and I are not on the same page about like really leaving, but especially not even the same place to go. Like there was a lot of opposing energies to the idea about leaving. However, there were some major events that happened, which this is one of them, where I knew that 2021 was the year, and if I didn't do it in 2021, that I was going to seriously regret it. So this is one of those dreams. So in this dream, I was sitting in my room, and so I had gone to sleep throughout the day, like I was taking a nap. And I actually thought that I was awake sitting in my room contemplating life. And I was sitting on my bed and I was kind of weighing the pros and cons of the situation that I was in. As far as situationally not having money to move, situationally not really having the energy throughout the day to put together a big, huge plan on how to move. Situationally, not having the information that I needed to know where we were going to move to. There were a lot of unknowns and not very many resources. And at that time particularly, it's 11:13, interesting. At that time particularly, I was really the main one pushing the move so soon. So I was weighing the pros and cons of if it was actually going to even happen and how I would even be able to do that in the dream, okay? And so as I'm sitting there, which should have been my reality check moment for lucid dreaming, two people that I know pop up out of nowhere in the room and they're sitting with me. And I thought it was odd, but something about it seemed very natural. And so I just started talking to them about life and about, their different experiences, our different experiences. And then I mentioned to them that I was planning to move. And they immediately got hostile. It was immediately, you don't have the money to do this, what about X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. Like they were immediately hostile to me wanting to move. And as I was listening to them, because this is not like necessarily outwardly how these people are actually in life. But when I was listening to them, I was starting to see the different faces of them as far as just, seeing the fear and how fear has them saying this thing. And then like the sadness of, potentially me moving away, even though both of them weren't in the place that I was in. but just, this big new life adventure and moving with the kids somewhere that, possibly I could know someone, possibly I couldn't, seeing the sadness of that. And then the anger of, what have we done in our lives to where you don't want to stay around us? All these different faces of emotions. And I was like, this is very interesting. And as they were, not invalidating how they were feeling, but, that's like the most I had heard out of them in, a lot of our time that we've just spent together on Earth. It was very interesting to see so many different emotions in this one just idea that I mentioned, even though clearly it turned out to not just be an idea, right? Because it materialized into an actual move. But at the time, I didn't know if it was going to materialize into an actual idea or not. I mean, into, actual movement or not. I just knew that it was an idea and I was feeling really strongly towards it. But I didn't know that it was actually going to turn into an actual move, especially not so soon. So anyways, as I'm, thinking about what they're saying and really contemplating on it, there is this black being that is crawling on the ceiling. Like, I literally see him coming from the ceiling of the hallway, and now he's crawling into my room with me and these two people. And so in my head, I've said this before in the dream where you just have to be like, okay, I'm not going to freak out. And now I'm learning to do reality checks. Okay, this is crazy. Is this waking life universe A type of crazy where you see dogs driving cars or babies cursing people out? I'm like, okay, this is universe A waking type of crazy. And now I'm getting to the point to where I'm like, no, this must be universe B astral type of crazy. And so as I saw him crawling on the ceiling, excuse me, and you have to not really react in a fearful way, because then everything will start changing. And that's just in life. If you start reacting to something, sometimes we can't always catch it. Or you cut someone off before they finish, you don't get to see where it's going. You don't get to see, if I just started getting up and screaming oh my gosh, there's a demon crawling on the ceiling. Number one, they couldn't see him. That was the first thing. So I would have looked crazy, AF. And then number two, I could have started freaking out, upset the thing, and then it could have been a whole crazy shit. I didn't know how it was going to go. So I was just like, okay, cool. I guess that's a thing now. But immediately when I saw him, I was like, oh, it's the demon Apophis. And I called him a demon because he was black, and he was kind of this, not exactly black goo, and he wasn't exactly a shadow. He had some type of water element. I don't know, black plasma. I don't know. But his eyes were white though. They were regular eyes. They weren't black and, weird Hollywood demon kind of whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is Apophis. I knew him immediately. And so I was like, okay, I don't know how this is about to go, but I guess the universe said that this was the experience that's going to give me the most amount of growth right now. I'm like, okay, great. And so I knew that he was looking at me and that he was coming to possess me. And so I was like, okay, that's new, that's different. And I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that, but I trust myself and I trust the circumstances. So I'm sure it's not going to be scary. So, pretty much I allowed him to come into my body. And, what I noticed is that, if you've ever had experiences like channeling, right? I haven't had a full channel experience where literally energy comes in and pushes my consciousness out of the way, and then you see a lot of channelers on YouTube where, this energy is kind of using their voice and, body to express, but they're still not fully really out of the way. There's different levels to it. But most of the time it feels like you are observing what is going on. And that's not really how I felt. I could feel his energy inside of my body, but what I really felt the most is that he was giving me his eyes to see them. Our eyes were in sync looking at these two people. And when I looked at these two people, what I understood was that even though deep down, their energy was, trying to be supportive and trying to have me look at certain things, it was causing an energetic blockage of me actually leaving New Orleans. How can I explain this? From his perspective, he didn't like it. And he was not human. And that's really important to say, especially when you're dealing with multiple different types of energies, that a lot of them are not human. Even if they were human before, and ones who are human, I'm talking about ancestors, friends who've passed on, people that you knew in life who've passed on, they are not still in a human form. And I'm saying that because there's certain human morale, hopefully, that people have that, keep them socially from doing certain things and even empathetically from doing certain things that this energy did not have. And so though from my eyes, he could see why I was giving empathy to the situation and even why I could put myself in their position and still not move forward because I wanted to consider them as well. And then considering what they were actually saying as well, like, was I prepared? Like, I didn't have the money. These are all valid concerns. But when I was looking at it from his eyes were that the universe has multiple different ways of bringing money and opportunity when you make a decision. And that even though I couldn't see what was going to materialize next from the move and how it was going to be a benefit or how much money it was going to take, that leaving New Orleans was the next big, the next big decision. So regardless, I was supposed to be making that move. This guy literally came over here and he's like pushing his daughter in this little small grocery basket. Like he just came up, like that was the funniest thing ever. She's having like so much fun. That's why you need dads. But anyways, what he was letting me know as we were looking at these with similar eyes, I would say, even though our personality roughly speaking was, even though our personalities were different, we were getting to observe the situation with multiple different viewpoints and getting to share that with each other, which is very interesting. And so pretty much when he exited my body, and I had to really hold on to him because he was ready to attack these people. And his standpoint was they are projecting certain things. And some of it, maybe a lot of it could be coming from just personal worry, but some of it is coming from other energies that don't want you to leave New Orleans. And so he was ready to attack them. And it was pretty much like, if this is what it takes to move them out of the way, I'm getting to that point. And so I was holding on to him and I'm like, no, that's all right. I'll make the decision to leave. And that's pretty much what I got from it once I let him out of my body, I guess. And I'm saying that because I was holding on to him. Because like I said, he was ready to go into their bodies and start attacking them. And I don't know how, but I had to hold on to him. And I was like, okay, I am definitely going to leave. Like, I don't want anything to happen. I don't want anything to get out of hand. I will leave. And so after that, I let him go and he exited. And that was one of the clearest dreams that I had leading up to the decision of leaving, was that you have guides around you who are protecting you and really nudging you in a specific direction that's going to be more helpful. And I've noticed that every time I set a date for something or a time frame or something, and I go past that, stuff usually starts going haywire, like within like 2 months. Like, I kid you not. Like, Ray and I have gone through this multiple times, and it could be just dealing with Saturn energy, which is like all about time and organization and structure. But it's like, once you go over that time, things are bound to start negatively happening. And so you have to go back and you have to, oh, look, I just got a comment, heart from someone. That's funny. You have to go back and you have to do it again. The little details. And so I was like, okay, clearly if I stay too long, things are going to start happening to them. And, if I'm not conscious of that, like, had I not had this dream and I stayed in New Orleans past the time that I set, things would start happening to people around and I wouldn't know why it was happening. Consciously, I wouldn't be aware. But they showed me in the dream world with Apophis. They're like, yeah, no, you are consciously aware of it, that you staying is also a risk to them. And it's kind of a risk to them in the sense of they might not even be consciously aware of energies that are influencing them to say certain things. And for everybody just to kind of not get into some type of spiritual warfare or whatever, it's just better to go ahead and make the decision and then let the chips kind of fall where they may. And so it taught me something very, very valuable about what we consider to be like actual quote unquote demonic energy, because people attribute energies being demons, all the time. And that doesn't actually mean that it actually is a demon. Some demons could be people's ancestors, but if they don't know about ancestor veneration or anything like that, they could think that there's some random person trying to talk to them about whatever and think that's a demon. Some demons, especially that are written as demons, are actually just old gods. And I don't know how people think that you get new gods without old gods. That's the process of procreation. Every god has parents, every goddess has parents. They're all a part of bloodlines. But anyways, that's a whole nother story. So some of those demons are actually just gods of old, that, in creating one central sun, in creating the one sun, everyone else, became a demon. Which is interesting, then people talk about, habits as demons, which is just more symbolic because, every single gluttonous thought or envious thought you have is not attributed to some demon whispering in your ear. Some of that is just actual trauma that you've experienced that you are observing and having to work through. So if you continuously call it a demon without actually owning it and saying, no, it's not some weird demon in my ear that's making me jealous, it's actually me that doesn't feel worthy of whatever, or I'm upset that I don't seem to have whatever. If you don't actually do that, then you don't actually grow and realize it's not a demon. But then there are some times where there are energies that are very, in the traditional sense, demonic, that do not care about your life, don't care about your existence, don't care about whether you grow or not. Like, literally, you are not a factor to them. And so it is very easy to move you out of the way, very easy to steal from you, easy to possibly kill you, easy to take energy from you, easy to love bomb you, in order to get something, which I feel like overall, like, that form of demonic is like characterized by not having any moral grounds, no empathy, and being subservient to something that is way harsher than them, or being subservient to what is only good for them. That exists, especially because every energy in the universe is not human, doesn't have the same moral human code or whatever, is not subservient, let's say, to a certain, idea of God. And so, yeah. And then you have the people like this energy, who I actually believe was like a pharaoh, which is a whole nother story, but who was pretty much like, I am around you and I'm helping to guide you to this place that is going to be beneficial for a lot of families, going to be beneficial for your family, for your relationship, keeping it solid, keeping your kids together. Like, my primary focus is you. And these people right now are showing up as other, and I'm about to be about that life to get them out of your life as quickly and simply as possible. So if you do not take steps to move towards this, I'm going to take steps to make sure that the opposing energies are gone. And it's very important to know that ancestors also show up this way as well. Now, I don't know if this was an ancestor to me, because I do think that he was a pharaoh. I don't know if he's an ancestor to me or not or whatever, but I do know that ancestors do show up. I have had ancestors come to me in dreams, and they're like, we respect, we respect how you view this, but this is not how we do things. And so if you don't want us to get involved, as you being our primary concern, if you don't want us to get involved, then you have to make a very specific decision on what's going on. Because if it's left to us, you're not going to like how we handle it. And so that's also important to know, because, again, sometimes demonic energies really could just be ancestors who do not have the same moral codes. And I'm not saying either codes are necessarily better or anything. I'm just saying they're different. If you look at different tribes, you look at different, groups of people, their way of living, everyone has very, very vast belief systems about what is permissible, what's not permissible, different rules, different, ways of living and stuff. And some of them don't subscribe to your current belief system. So that is what I wanted to share. And I'll go ahead and say that I do think that this King Apophis could also actually be Shashi. Or they were contemporaries if they were not the same. So there's like a King Apepi. And I also think that Apepi could also be Shashi. And that is in my... What video is that? I can't remember what video I talked about Shashi in. But I know that he's connected to the Shashai, because I ended up having this dream about Caleb, and then I found Caleb in the Bible with the Shashai. And then I'm going to say this word, and I know that it's offensive to Jewish people. Sorry. But I got the word kike in a dream, which actually means a circle, but I guess at some point they started using it negatively. And I'll probably talk about that dream a little bit later, because I think it was talking about much deeper things. But I know that the Shashai were also connected to the kings of Anak, sons of Anak, Anakin. That's a whole nother situation. We talk about the Jedi and the Jed pyramid. The Jed pillar. That's a whole nother situation. I might do like a full podcast on that, because that connects into so many things, like the Ashina tribe, the Inuits. I'll probably end up doing a podcast on something to talk about those things. But anyways, that's what I wanted to say today. I hope that you found it interesting. Make sure that you do all the things that we do here on YouTube. That is like, comment, subscribe, share, heavy on the commenting. And yeah, I'll be back with more intel later.